Alrighty, hello everyone, and welcome to the Monday live stream. This week is, of course, big earning season. I hope you guys can hear me from around the world. Pleasure to have you here with us here, and it is the 20th of October. Today we'll be talking about everything from stocks to commodities, gold, silver, of course, what's going on with platinum, palladium, all those things, to all the way into the cryptos, because of course Bitcoin becomes the big focus this week with its big sell-off, liquidity dump, and now the possibility of a resurgence. A lot to go through here, guys. We'll give a shout out to the people that are here early. We've got INF. Thank you very much. Always great to have you here, man. We've got Lee becoming a new member. Appreciate it. And Robin as well saying, hi, crashed out before the first stream. Thanks for taking my question. So much appreciated. Obviously a member of our private community. Thank you very much, as always. And then we've got Darren, Mystic, Vincent A, Chris, Rick, Greg, Sticky, Ray, Omia, Clippy, Jeff, Aloria, Jesse, the Product Detective, and many others. Also got another member coming in here. Whoa, hay fever, guys. Saved your ears just then. And we've got Marius as well coming in as a new member. Thank you very much for the support. It really is appreciated. Truly Messiah says, Tom, we need new music, man. All right. Okay. Heard my grandma talking about gold prices at the family party this weekend. Don't know if that's bullish. Probably not. That's probably not a great sign when you get that type of thing going on. I'll just quickly grab my pen tool. I don't know why it disappeared on me, but we'll get that back. And we'll do that right now. There we go. And obviously, just a quick QR code, relaunching some newsletter stuff this week as well, guys. So I know a few people have said they didn't get it and stuff like that. We had a couple of problems, but I'm relaunching it. So if you want to sign up, you can, and I'll have one out, I think, around Thursday this week. So make sure to stay tuned for that. There's a QR code bottom right. All right, let's start off here with gold, silver, probably two of the things that I guess we're becoming semi-famous for in some ways, which is that we've been very bullish, of course, gold, silver for a long time. And there were two times that we started to get a little bit neutral on it. March this year, when it had that epic run, and now. Why? It's pretty overbought. So it doesn't really matter what aspect you look at this. It's going to be pretty expensive. And it also is going to be pretty overbought. We had 9% in 1 week. That's historically rare. We've had 9 weeks up in a row. Yep, you guessed it. 10th has never been up. So that's this week. Hey, we could rewrite history, but that's there. And I think the thing is, people are getting a little bit confused about bullishness from the perspective of short term versus long term. So here's a question for you guys. Do you think I'm bullish gold and silver if we're looking at 6, 9, 12 months? What do you think? That's your question for the day here, guys. Kyle says, lol, love this dude's grandma. Yeah, pretty. The grandma's on top of things, going for the old gold for sure. But hopefully it was a little while ago. Truly Messiah says, liquidity leaving from gold, silver to the cryptoverse. Kilted says yes. Fabric says yes. Michael, Truly, Jesse, everybody. Yeah, that's right. So I'm bullish on it on the longer term, of course. The aspect of central banks, the aspect of currency wars, the aspect of course, geopolitical tensions, money debasement, so many different things make gold quite attractive, even at $4,000 an ounce, which seems expensive, but I still think it's cheap based on where I do think it'll go to. The problem is the speed. When you get a rally like this and you get this kind of like big blow off and you have people lining up in a queue to try to go buy and sell Bitcoin and gold in this case, then that's always a little bit of a problem. And it can create what we call a pit. But the size of this one often creates larger volatility. So I think, like, as a trader, I would be just chilling. Some of you would say, well, shouldn't I short this? You don't usually short these types of markets. It's pretty expensive to do so. But I'll just give you this in perspective. So first perspective is if you're looking at markets here and you're taking quite random ass line there. But anyway, you've got this of course pennant that we used. We extrapolated that out. We got about 42.50 as our best case. It's overshot that, which means that it's gone a little bit more than we would think, and it's accelerated heavily into it. Is this a downward trend? No. Is it the completion of our target? Yes, our initial target is completed. Nicely done, everybody. There's the pennant, by the way. Exceptional move. But we haven't even come back to the daily 20. So let's just do some percentage moves away from certain aspects. First one, We're going to go from the top down. We're 7.44% away from the daily 20. We haven't hit it once. That's pretty rare. Let's have a look now at the percentage away from the weekly 20, which is 16.59%. Now, you might say, oh, well, that's not that extreme or anything. It's pretty extreme. Let's have a look over here during the 2020 rally in gold, which of course turned into a horror show afterwards. That was only 13% above the 20 at that time. Now, we don't have as much history here, but you can go back and maybe have a look at some of the other periods. And what you'll notice is that this is quite extended. It's like 2011 in some ways, the way it's going. I'm actually still bullish on it, difference to 2011, because I think we're going into potentially here a bit of a crisis. But yeah, that's an interesting point. So, and the next one everyone asks is, where do you think the first support is? I think it's 4,000-ish. So why? Well, you've got your first level of demand there. You've got the daily 20. You've got a psychological number. And you probably have a fib of kind. So if we actually have a look here at fibs, you're going to have around that 38.2 fib as well. So quite a few things sitting around that level. And obviously, some good stuff kind of sitting there. So important to note that that's probably a good line in the sand for the first support. Silver is very similar, guys. A lot of people suddenly talking about silver. No surprise, went ballistic, got above to all-time highs. Obviously, is then fallen off 7%. That's not normal. These levels of volatility equal generally further sideways action, if not down. So I'm actually less bullish here. I'm more sideways down for now, followed by, I think, a good setup in the next couple of weeks to maybe months. And it might just need to have a bit of a breather. Now, it brings us on to the second point. We will talk S&P. We will talk NASDAQ very soon. But I thought we'd talk quickly here Bitcoin, BitNoodle. Why? Because, of course, the discussion here is, are we going to see a movement from gold and silver into BitNoodle? So I might actually run a poll, because we've got me going everywhere here. Let's have a look. Oh, why is this not loading? There we go. We'll run a poll here. We'll start the poll. Do you... All right. Here we go. Just 2 months. It's a yes/no question. It's simple. Let's go over here to a super chat as well. We've got Armans932 says, hi, Tom. A couple of weeks ago, you mentioned PayPal. Yes, that's right. It actually rallied and then it got smoked a little bit back down to the same level. Would be interesting with a break of 72. What's your opinion on it now that it broke back below? We'll look at it very soon, but certainly PayPal will come up. We'll check that out in a moment. So thank you very much for the super chat. And we did certainly mention it, and it did rally. And then, of course, that volatility from Trump took it back down to pretty much around the basing structure. So not as good as it was. All right. While we get the answer in for this stream, in terms of whether we're going to see a movement here from gold and silver into Bitcoin, which seems to be coming through with a resounding yes. Is that terrifying? I'm not sure. Let's have a look at Bitcoin, because we prepped a couple of little charts here from X, and there's a couple of good ones. And of course, they're all based on halving cycles. So I thought we'd talk about where we are. Now, the bear case at the moment is that we're near the end. So does anyone know, let's see if you guys are on top of this, how many days generally does a Bitcoin cycle last? And what day are we on right now from low to high? We'll close the poll because it looks like it's going to come in at 70%. So 70% of you believe that it will be a transaction across. Thank you also to the almost 600 people joining us. I do know it's earlier in the US. Unfortunately, we have strange things going on in the matrix of the world. So even though I'm in the, what is this? I'm in the forward time here of 9:47 p.m. here in Australia. Unfortunately, the US and other countries in the world, obviously, you guys also have daylight savings, and it ruins everything, guys. It turns everything into a hodgepodge. So here you can see Bitcoin. We get this kind of drop. We've then dropped again. We've not taken a low, which I would prefer if we took 97, 98. I'll just kind of show you here what a lot of people are going to be marking. And there's a very specific mark that I think a lot of people have. which is an anchored VWAP that sits behind this low. And this particular one is what people are really liking. So they're very, very bullish around this 104. That was originally one of our plays. And of course, the other one that everyone craps on about at the moment has to be this blue line here, which is, of course, the weekly 50. So that kind of classic pullback moving average that's been consistent. So you can see here, we actually haven't touched the weekly 50, which I would prefer to touch because you'll note that it's been such a good level. But I wanted to kind of just mention it because I think these two levels here are what most people are analyzing and what most people have on their charts. Let's talk bullishness for a second here before we go over to the analysis. First up, if we get past 116, I think you've got to think that any pullbacks will probably be met by bull demand. That would be quite a strong level, and it would show that we have a little bit of a change of trend towards a new high. The Wyckoff style or the weakness style is really just the concept of this being a topping pattern, and it's to do with timing. So if we have a look here, generally speaking, we're looking at around 550 days from the kind of beginning of the halving cycle to the topping point. You'll see here 2020, we top out at 550. 2016, we top out at around 540 or something. And then, of course, the 2012 one, we top out a little bit earlier, hitting that number. So why is this important? Well, what it means is that we are there, okay? So at the time of this is from Salad over on X. We'll give Crypto Salad. I don't know, it's probably a small account, but this is I thought it was halving trackers concept, but anyway, Crypto Salad. And I kind of just like the name. And hit me up in the DMs, Crypto Salad, if you're watching. So anyway, it's just funny. Over here, we've got what's happened this time around. And you can see, of course, the law of diminishing gains. Totally expected to not be as good usually, but this is what a lot of people are pointing towards when they're going for that negativity point. You know, this is where they kind of draw that line in the sand. Now, to flip that a little bit, we can also have a look here at, I think it's Brett F on X, and he's just done, you know, the same type of thing that I think I did. Well, I've done this several times over the years, but this is basically just a standard halving concept, which is effectively going through each one. And what we do here is we look at the bottom basing, and then we look at where we end up topping out, and we kind of come to this conclusion that we get around 1,064 days. Now, this is from the low to the high, so you guys actually got this correct. I was talking about halving, but I misworded it. So what you generally do is you get this kind of low to halving, you get halving, and then you get halving to rally off. And that usually leads into 1,064, which is what you guys got here. So Ricky says 1,064 days on average apart from the first cycle, which was 1,400 days. Yes. And Kevin says here, I was crapping on about the 50. Scottie Pippen was crapping on about the 50 if you saw my video on the weekend. I thought that was way too funny. Scottie Pippen, is he like some crypto maniac or something? I didn't even realize. So I like the color coding here. Basically, you've got your red nasty area, which is 371 days. You've got your blue kind of barely recovery phase and not too bad at all. Usually that kind of gets you often closer to that new high. And then we've got this nice green area, which is 530 days. So no matter what, it points us towards a very interesting point here at the end of this year. So the October, November kind of rally, and then maybe like near the end of it. So this is a pretty cool chart and certainly, you know, what I think a lot of people are looking at. Then, of course, we have here bottom to bottoms. Interesting that they're all very similar. Halving to top, obviously very similar. Top to top, very similar. And then bottom to top, very similar. Wow. I mean, talk about repeatable pattern. We are starting to get, though, towards many of these ones. So other than bottom to bottom, which of course has to come, you know, you can see how many of these we're about to hit. And I think that is surprisingly interesting. So it obviously points towards, is this time going to be any different or is it going to be exactly the same? And what I think it's happening here is that we are at that precipice of whether the upcoming exchange traded funds are going to push us through, or indeed whether the market's going to have problems. Because I want to go back over to this chart for a moment, and I just want to think about one thing here, and that is that if you think about it, when we sold off in 2022, it just so happened to be exactly at the time that the stock market also had a problem. When we sold off in 2018, what did we have over here? We had Volmageddon and we had the China trade war. Okay. And that actually really did decimate a lot of the return in the stock market during that period of time. So 2018 was surprisingly up, down, and all around. So two actually kind of bearish style years. And it points towards, will 2026 therefore be terrifying as well? What do you guys in the chat think about that? You reckon it's going to be pretty scary? I came to know about altcoins in 2021, still waiting for it to come. I came to know about altcoins in 2021, and now I'm still waiting for it to come to break even. Yes, the word altcoin is evil. Okay. So altcoin is evil coins. The only true coin is Bitcoin, and then there's a couple of smatterings. All right. So I always go, it's like stocks. You first learn about Apple, you make some money. You buy, you hold, you win. NVDA, you buy, you hold, you win. Microsoft, you buy, you hold, you win. What's this little stock over here? Ooh, Tilray. Oh, I like marijuana. Okay. All right, we can get behind this company. It's only $5. Only $5. Oh, it's $1. You lose. Okay. Tilray is the crappy altcoin in the stock world. Space is the crappy altcoin in the stock world. You got to be careful, guys. We all start at big chip, and someone in the chat say this. We all start at the big blues, and then we end up going through a bunch of crap, and then we end up at the big blues again. And it's the same thing in pretty much any asset class. Stick with quality. It is easier. That should be a sign that we wear on our shirts. Stick with quality. It is easier. All right. Yeah, so I like this analysis. I think we're getting towards that kind of pointy end. Obviously, if we are going to see alt season, crap coin season, then it's generally going to be driven only for around 46 days on average. So, of course, there's just enough time for us to get towards that. Let's see if it can happen. Let's go back to the chart then and understand Bitcoin here for a second. Where do we got Bitcoin? Oh, we'll put Bitcoin on the chart again. So 116 plus, I think is quite bullish. That could really get the party started. I prefer, and you won't prefer this, most of you, but I prefer that, which just hits the 50 and then it rallies. If that happened, I'd be pretty happy. The reason is it would be a further liquidity swipe, which would be quite strong. Oftentimes it doesning do this, but if it did, I'd quite like it. The key is not so much down here. It's the way that it then rallies up. If it then went, slingshotting towards the moon, that would be very, very, very strong indeed. So that would be my preference. But the other one is that we take this high, maybe pull back a little, then rally through. So they're my two thoughts. I'm not bearish on Bitcoin. I know a lot of people want to run bear runs on Bitcoin, but it just doesn't really make sense. We've got exchange traded funds. We've got the Texas Stock Exchange. We have all sorts of weird, wonderful alts and strange things. We've got government approvals to come. We've got deregulation, we've got tokenization, we've got all of this stuff that's just making people think about crypto. We've got Wall Street. They like to squirrel people's money. So I'm sure they're going to be looking at some extra way to make more money out of illiquidity inside of the system. This candle here. Yeah, it kind of makes sense to me. Do you guys think Bitcoin is done? Let me know in the chat. What do you reckon? I don't think it's done. I don't know it's not done, but I don't think it's not done. We'll answer that question about BTC is not safe. Kevin is not a fan. I think XRP will have more integration in the long run. Now, Ken. Ken. We allowed XRP to be free, okay? But that coin does my head in. I gotta say that is the worst. That coin. I know it's free. And I know it's allowed to go up now because, of course, it got kind of allowed to by the SEC. But the XRP, seriously, Can't get behind it. BTC is a scam, not a matter of if, just when. BTC is the future of the world currency. What can I if I bought like a $55 coffee, is that the future? I buy one coffee with my Bitcoin, it transacts, it costs me $50. Look, I think it's a store. The way I look at Bitcoin is different to others. I am a maxi on it, but mostly because I think it is got many properties against money print. It's not so much the M2 flow. I know a lot of people check that and blah, 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 blah. But I think it looks kind of like gold in many ways in the modern version of it. And you might say, yeah, but Tom, it's not physical. Well, half the gold you buy is not physical. You buy usually some exchange traded fund piece of paper or a CFD or a futures contract. So I don't really care about that. Plus, I'm not going to eat gold. And looking at a brick of gold is cool and all. But you know what I mean? Like you have to love both asset classes. And there's no doubt, Bitcoin, while it hasn't gone through an epic crash yet, which is going to be really the decider, so a proper global financial crash, don't think for 1 minute, guys, that Bitcoin ain't going downtown. It's going to get smashed if we have a financial crisis. I know Bitcoin Maxi are going to come out and say, but Tom, it's going to go up because the world will be, printing cash. I don't think so. I think you'll find that Bitcoin will get smashed like any risk asset. Gold will get smashed too, by the way. But what might happen is they might come back better. And I think what also might happen is you've got to remember the greatest thing about Bitcoin, and one of the main reasons I like it is that when it goes down 85%, guys, the big whales, they don't ever sell. Ever. They just sit there, hodling on their super yachts. They don't sell. And that reminds me of quality stocks because a lot of people don't know, but free float is super important. How much float is there usually on any given stock? 20, 30% maybe transacts. Bitcoin has a very similar property. In fact, half of it's probably lost. So the fact is, limited supply, they don't sell. The threat to BTC, in my opinion, is going to come from Bitcoin treasuries. I think the treasuries, there's something going to go on there. Anyway, it's going to be pretty wild. Everything is getting trashed. As long as it isn't currency, it will get smashed. Well, in my feeling, it is like a risk on, risk off asset. So that is it. Anyway, some people agree, some people disagree, but obviously you've got to come from the abundance mindset. Even gold and BTC will be irrelevant in the age of super abundance. John, what kind of super abundance are you talking about? BTC is going to get cooked when this market falls over. Yeah, of course. Look, we know it's a risk asset. So it has properties of gold, but gold gets cooked too. Illiquidity gets cooked and people will go. But remember, guys, the big whales will not sell their Bitcoin. And I'm pretty confident on that. They never do. They might clip very small amounts, but they hodl. And it's very important because if there wasn't that basis on this pair, I could say, well, I could go real low. But I think there's always an inherent value because there's too many people that believe in it, and a crash, people will move towards it. So you got to kind of keep that in mind. I'm a person that looks at both ends. I think you guys appreciate that. Is that why you watch the channel? Most of you probably do. We look at the bull, we look at the bear case, we try somewhere in the middle. Most people just go super bull, and this is what they say. Good morning, fam. Great day to own Bitcoin. Bitcoin is God. Bitcoin is the best. Bitcoin for breakfast. That's the kind of thing. And then they have like a picture of them eating Bitcoin Cheerios or something. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So that's the Bitcoin bull. And then the Bitcoin bear just says that the whole market's going to crash and Bitcoin is useless. So you have to be somewhere in the middle. And the middle is usually the truth in this aspect. And I think that's very important to note. Either way, though, guys, 116.5 for the bull end this week looks very good technically. Obviously, if we get a bear bust, I'd like to see buying at around 190 to 96 to 100. That'll be the weekly 50. Weekly 50, anchored VWAP, key levels, liquidity grab. Very interested in this pair. One of my most interesting pairs this week is Bitcoin. And I'm very keen to see how it plays. But obviously, I am inherently bullish at this stage. Ethereum dropped down to bulls take control level from last time. Obviously, a very nice hit as again rallied off this low. Why is that key? Kind of in that 61.8 fibs. So obviously a key fib zone there, guys. And yeah, look, it is what it is. It's dropped a low. It's come down to a pretty good demand. If it drops this low here, which is 3357, get ready for a lot of liquidity grabbing. And again, if we're going to go let's grab a VWAP for a second, and we'll pop one behind this low down here. And you'll see that this would be a cool swipe. So I think this is the kind of level we would hit should we be hitting a under 100,000 Bitcoin. So that's good. Even if gold and BTC will be irrelevant in the age of the superabundance comment. So much superabundance. Sailor is an over leveraged dude. No, we'll see. Actually, is anyone going to CryptoCon in Australia or anything like that? You guys going to be there? The biggest crypto thing in the Southern Hemisphere, guys. Institutions buy BTC, OTC. The spot doesn't reflect the demand yet. Is the AI rush not pushing the gold rush? AI is pushing, in my opinion, the rare earth mineral metals rush. Obviously, data centers. I'm very bullish, and I've been very bullish in our private community about this. I obviously am a big fan of not private. No, there are some private good mineral farms, but rare earth mineral metals, precious metals, any metal, every metal. I think we're in the world. Those post-apocalyptic movies? Dude, I made a lot of money off those things. I think the post-apocalyptic movies and Star Trek and are incredible teachers of investment. And you might say, you're mad. And I'll say, no, they're pretty good. It's kind of like the Matrix has been pretty good as well at figuring out certain investments. You know what I'm saying, guys? There are things to learn from random films and books. And one of the things I noticed in every one of those books, and it just reminded me so much of an AI play. And I actually, that's why it's about 10% of the investment summary. And that is that I was like, in every one of these films, there's just a bunch of, unfortunately, really poor laborers that are having to go off to random moons and get minerals. You play any video game like a Command and Conquer, a Red Alert, or whatever else, these kind of old school games. And they're always like, get minerals. And then they all get the minerals, and then you're rich. That's what everyone's talking about. So when you think about it, it kind of makes sense for AI too. If we're going to create robots, let's say millions and millions and hundreds of millions, and everyone gets a robot, that's billions of robots. Can you imagine how many resources that would take, let alone geopolitical tensions, let alone the fact that AI is going to be used for the W word pretty quickly? These are the things that I thought about. And I thought, yeah, metals and minerals, I think, are very solid long terms because I think they're too cheap. They've been cheap since, a decade. They've been horrible, horrible investments. CryptoCon. Actually, I don't know what it's called, but yes. Lol, there are still people calling BTC for drug dealers. Oh, like still what's it called? Yeah, when I was actually in it before that time. Oh, what was it called? Look, that dodgy website. I forgot. Something Silk Road. That was the one. Power Corporation, Silk Road. Yeah, that was the one. Death Star has been my best investment over time. You know what I'm saying, though? Yeah. So you think about it, it's going to be pretty important, obviously, to be in those ones. And you can see why, recently especially last year, I've been very bullish on that, especially since everything with the geopolitical tensions been going on, but also China's been pushing liquidity, which often means they're kind of like strengthening their own economy. All right, so we've gone over Bitcoin. We've got two good levels there. We've gone over gold and silver, and we've kind of got some zones there. Let's have a look at the US 500. This is the question mark this week. We come into it with a very neutral opinion. And I know you don't like neutral, guys, but it's neutral bullish because you have to be bullish. Weekly 20, 6,400. That's, of course, an extremely important level. And you can't discount 6,400. Like if we have a look here, you're going to get a lot of action around 6,400. So if it does get down that low, that could be a very good zone for buy the dippers. That will only be around 5%. But the garden variety pullback is generally between 5 and 8. So even in the world of worries with the banks, and I posted a video on the weekend about this. Obviously, I do think there are serious concerns in the debt world. Like, don't get me wrong, guys. There are significant risks. I don't care what the people that are there floating around saying, "Oh, bull, it's amazing, euphoria, euphoria, let's run, let's run." The debt market is hideous, but no one seems to care. And I've learned in investing and trading, look at the global financial crisis, look at the dot-com bubble. There were people with 3 million IQ, okay? And they were sitting there playing their chess robots and figuring out what was going on in the world and figuring out, the meaning of the universe. And they were like, yep, it's a bubble. And that's like 1997. And then they go and sell. They go sell it. And the thing is, these dudes have IQs way higher than any of us, or maybe some of you have 3,000 IQ, even though it's not possible. And they lost. And you think, how is it possible? 1998 comes around, still goes up. And they keep selling. 1999 comes around, and it's still going up. Pets.com, worth nothing. But still, billions, sound familiar? So you've got to remember that we know this is here. Don't forget about it. No. It's dangerous. It's very bad. But until the market decides it's a problem and it becomes so systemic, which can take years, e.g., the subprime mortgages that went on for years, we don't know the market's going bad. So just remember it's there, but be optimistic generally. Yeah, very, very good to always keep that in mind. Do any of you guys really resonate with that? Let me know as well. It's very important. We'll do PayPal in a sec as well, now that we're on to stocks, for that super chat. So let's go over here. This is incredibly sideways. We dumped on liquidity. Obviously, Trump coming out about, tariffs or whatever. I always say if it's in the press, it's in the price. Then we got like some horrible news about banks and stuff. Definitely a problem. And we ended up kind of being sideways. So what we've climbed all year is the wall of worry. And it does look like we're kind of keeping to climb this. So for now, the way I'm looking at it is this is a distinct possibility still. It is possible, but I don't really care. Like when you're hitting this price, you're so close, who cares? And I don't mind these wicks. So clearly, if we keep going bullish, that's going to be quite strong. And I think there's nothing wrong with, just waiting and seeing neutrality come through until we get earnings. Netflix, by the way, and I've got some specials on that. Maybe we'll leave it for the Monday close show because I've got so much to talk about in earnings season this week. But we've got Netflix, we've got Tesla, we've got many others coming. And then next week after that, of course, we've got our Mag 7 stocks. We're probably going to break this range. I don't know which way it is right now. Trend so far in earnings is it's meeting expectations. So remember, generally, markets will meet expectations. GDP expectations are rising. The AI bubble rolls on. Why do I call it a bubble? Because, guys, I was using some AI in the weekend. It was so wrong. It was disgusting. It's reversing, guys. It was reversing on me. It was going backwards. Has anyone else noticed that? I absolutely swear it was more trash than it was months ago. Is anyone else seeing this? Am I just delusional? I mean, it's giving me better formatting, but I feel like there's some serious trash in there. Like, as soon as maybe I'm prompting the thing wrong. I don't know what's going right or wrong here, but I said it. I told it to do something. It did it. Its answer seemed okay. Then I said, well, what about this? And it's like, yes, you're completely right. Oh my God, you got a big brain. Yeah, right, bro. Whatever. Turn the agreement off. And then it's just got it wrong. It just went delusional. It had a delusional fantasy. What do they call it in the AI world when these things have a delusional fantasies? There's never a mistake in the AI world, according to AI people. It's they don't call it mistake. I don't know what they call it. Be like Bob Ross. It's a happy accident. According to this, Left Field says AI won't stop glazing. A hallucination. That's it. It's hallucinated, guys. Whoa. I love corporate speak. I kind of love it. You cannot ever admit that it's wrong. So you have to say it's hallucinating, having a trip. It's tripping all over the place. Some happy little trees. Yeah. Inflation data on Friday could be an excuse. Are we getting that? Are we getting any? What are we getting that? Is this true? Thought we were getting nothing. What AI were you using? Well, I've used a few of them. I've used Gemini. I've used ChatGPT. ChatGPT definitely going somewhere. It's going somewhere right now. So the hallucination. So anyway, I don't know. I just cross check your AI at the moment, guys. I absolutely, I don't know. You guys seem to agree. The hallucinations seem to be getting more frequent. The wrong information seems to be getting more frequent. I don't see how they're going to get past this. But you've got to remember, even if you see that, and I think you guys are smart for seeing that, it doesn't mean it's over tomorrow. It's going to be like a bubble that eventually pops. We know, but we just we got to chill. Look how much money there's probably been made while you guys already were on this like a year and a half ago saying, oh, I know where this is going to end. The AI is the future of investment, but just remember the chat bot, they've now turned it into beta 1.2, beta 1.3b. And what that means is the improvements are more incremental. So we've gone from just being start of this year when I saw it go into the way it's been, which is obviously more, really well priced kind of responses. I was like, oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. Then I started to realize again what I already thought, which is that I'm going to be long in this thing, but I'm not delusional that every new technology generally does have a hiccup. And remember, MIT have claimed 95% of these companies are going to die, and that the 5%, the Phoenix reborn ones, are going to be amazing. And the companies we don't even know about right now are going to be super crazy amazing. So the investments on the horizon are going to be the best. The best. Generational wealth will be made in the future, as well as what has already been made, I guess, right now. So US 500, super neutral. Not much I can really say. The wicks obviously make you more bullish. I like 6,400 more, but if it starts rallying and goes past this high, it's going to push positive gamma, and 7,000 is the obvious target. Okay. The long and the short of it, at least that's what I'm thinking. China, I'm still bullish on it. You guys know this. It is because liquidity is coming in. But if I wanted to actually, make sure it goes more bullish, I want it to break through 26,000, which is probably going to coincide with S&P taking new high, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, that market actually hit a decent support. You actually got a bit of a discount there. I think it was like 7% or something, which is pretty sweet. So not too bad. Let's go through the big stocks here leading into this week. Tesla is rallying into its earnings, and it is holding for 24.30 because we know there are puts. There are just literally puts stacked here, and there are calls stacked here. And everything in between here is lame. So that's pretty much the chart. People say it's really interesting. I say it's like watching the paint dry. However, 424.30 has been bullish. 450 obviously is where we start to break out and look a lot better. US dollar is kind of finding buyers here as it's come back down. I still would like to see US dollar strengthen a little bit more. Oil is horrendous. It is dropping. Oil stocks like oil services have done better, but this thing is just getting mutilated. So we'll see what ends up happening to it. But no change of trend. It almost did it. It failed. And then now it's going down for the time being. Now we'll do PayPal for that gentleman. Let's do that. Thank you very much for the donation. I do appreciate it. So obviously around 70, I was turning bullish on PayPal. This was literally a bullish candle, and it rallied and actually did pretty well. It went from 70 to 76 really quickly. And you can see here it got close and pretty much into this kind of break-even point. Now, you could have broken even in here and you would have just dropped the position. No harm, no foul. But if you're still holding it, it barely held that low. So what you're looking for is, again, to break 70, and that would be strong for it. But unfortunately, it did get liquidity hit, and obviously it's a fintech, which is also coming under a lot of pressure from this other stuff. Plus, the weekly is horrendous. Look at that. Oh, it's a nasty candle. I don't like that candle. It's very nasty looking. So I'm hoping, for your sake, I guess, that it can get back above 70. But I think for now, it's kind of aiming for 70. So would I enter new positions here? No. If I was already in a position, I'd have my stop loss set, and it'd be what it is. It's like any trade you do. You have to just replicate it and hope that you continue to do similar trades so that you can replicate those concepts. So that thank you very much for the super chat, but that's kind of the way I thought about it. And look, would I change anything about buying this day? Absolutely not. It's an exceptionally good buy. I do it across the board. I do it on. I don't care what it is, and as long as it's a large cap stock. And look at the next session. You were rewarded with an extremely good bull run. You don't know Trump's going to come out and tariff China 100%, and then suddenly there's going to be, the news of, oh wow, well, we've been lending with no diligence. It's all good. You didn't know that was going to come out. So, yeah. Give an example of how it went wrong. It didn't go wrong from the perspective of the trade. Again, I guess you guys are looking for a bit of a pointer here. This is actually an exceptionally good flow movement. So basically, you've got like a market that's sitting. Markets are obviously set up in a way that I like. I actually also like this. It's then rallied here, which I also like. So there's I always think of the charts as kind of like reading a cool story, and it's up to you to understand what that story is telling you about human psychology. So in my day trading masterclass on special at the moment, links description down below. Basically, what I did was I devised an idea of how do I replicate effectively human manipulation in the charts, and how do I replicate what we tend to do on mistake on mistake on mistake constantly, and why fear is such a powerful motivator for the Wall Street, algorithms and buffins and boffins to steal from us. So in essence, this actually has quite a few stolen concepts here that are very, very good. And that's why I have this saying, patience, react, and predict. It's because when you have patience, the story becomes clear. When you have FOMO, you will get stuck in the story, and it is torturous. That's the only way we can put it. Does anyone ever feel in stock trading and investing that you've ever been tortured by the market? Like dead set, like full on torture? I'm going to put my hand up. That was me a long time ago. Because I remember you got a little bit of lever, you get a little sneaky in the charts, and then all of a sudden, bam, oh, nasty. So yeah, this is definitely a good flow candle. The close is the key, as I often say. The thing here is you probably would have been targeting the gap fill, which is 78. So as a stock gets, I'll give you a tip, stock gets to be between 70 and 80% of your target, you generally want to break even the trade because that's the point where usually you're going to get the target, but if you don't, it's going to go horrendously bad. And what was the horrendous bad? Well, it was this candle here, which, as you know, was caused by the tariff, which definitely hurts PayPal. So doesn't mean it's over from the bull run, but it's over from the trade with the risk reward. And you got to think about as well, if you're buying this, let's say, and you're buying it here at the close, and your aim is, let's say, here, and your stop is here. Oh, are we there? Let's say the stop is here. You're looking at over a 1-to-1. If you tighten the stop down to here, you're suddenly at 1.3. And that's not like an exceptional risk reward, but you can descale it. So you could say, okay, break even some position, descale. If the market breaks this, you might be able to get up to the 80s and 90s. So all of a sudden you got, the second or third part of this, potentially it's something like a 4-to-1. So you'd be surprised what you can achieve when you replicate in the markets. I don't know. Do you guys like that segment? If you do, I can do more of those normal public stock stuff. We do it all the time in the privates, but we can do it in public. All right, let's do these main mag stocks this week. Apple is still actually quite bullish on the charts. It tapped into these highs, but it still seems to be kind of loving life. Amazon looks crap. It looks really bad. So I wouldn't really be bullish on Amazon until 230. So a new high is made. It's in demand, but I do not know that that's going to bid. And one of the problems, you've got 2050 cross to the downside. You've also got, I think, a 200 moving average somewhere on that, which is a good line in the sand. Google looks sweet still. I really like Google. It's not just because we're on YouTube, probably making money from their ads. It is actually the fact that Google just has been, it's just got the best data set. And I think what we're crapping on here about with ChatGPT having problems and others having problems is ultimately going to have to rebuild these these AIs. And I think that's going to come down to quality of data. So good chance that the two data guys, Google and Meta, might do okay. Microsoft, boring at the moment. NVDA still looks pretty decent. That is just the chart. It looks pretty decent. Gap, island reversal, nice move, good break at the upside. Obviously decline. 200 plus is the target if it's going to keep doing it. And then Meta is just chilling on the demand. So again, 2050 across the downside. Certainly a stock that's been super bullish and it's kind of pulling back down. So yeah, I think the general gist here in the markets is that gold and silver are probably the most risky they've been in, I feel like, years. It's been, I know that sounds wild, but I'm bullish gold, silver. I really am. But I think the risk to the standard investor and trader right now is the highest I've seen it. The RSI is through the roof. It is through the roof to the stratosphere. It's only ever happened a couple of times. Again, every time it's this high, vol has come. And I don't think this time's any different. So I'd be careful, yeah? Long holders, probably don't care. But short termers, be careful. There's probably opportunity on the horizon. I wouldn't care if gold went to 55,000. Because an investor, I wouldn't care. But if I'm a trader, don't care anyway. Because unless you're getting a replication set up, who cares? A noob trader, you can always tell a noob trader because they'll cry about missing a position. You know what I'm saying, guys? 42.50, then it goes to 5,000, and then they say, "Oh, I should have bought it." Did you get a replication trade? If the answer is no, who cares? Abundance. There's another opportunity. Who cares? If you're not getting a risk reward that makes sense to your strategy, don't do it. All right. Yes, so that's the markets kind of in the gist. So we've got still bullish on pretty much everything. Gold, silver look the most risky we've seen them. Dollar's certainly in a pivot point. Bitcoin's probably the most interesting chart of the week so far. And the mag stocks really, probably Tesla's the most interesting stock of all of them just because it's straddling that tight wedge between 420, 430 and 450. So that's kind of the key area. I'll just do a quick update here on a stock that we were following in our community watch list. And I think it's down here somewhere. Where are we? I'm going to go through a few of them. This one here, which is Louis Vuitton. And you might say, what the hell are you talking about? Yes, Louis Vuitton. This was an exceptionally good base structure, so I thought I'd just show it. And it actually, look, you might say, well, I got lucky because of this announcement. But realistically, this to me, I never really felt bad about it. And while it has hit first target, which is this supply here, there could be still more in this one. Not soliciting a buy. Don't really care about this stock. It's just a show of quality TA. And that's a quality TA base with decent volume, with a good pickup, with all the things that you look for. And again, you're going to get this type of replication on repeat, very consistently once you start to understand markets. And it doesn't matter whether it's Louis Vuitton or it's PayPal or it's Platinum or it's Palladium or it's, S&P 500 or German DAX or whatever else. You're always going to be able to see and spot different things. And my style is one style. There are other styles that work. But you've just got to get that replication down. So it's very important to do that whenever possible. Palladium short-term bottom. Yeah, Palladium's probably not at the bottom. I think it's Platinum that's probably more bottomy. And the reason why with Platinum is Platinum actually hit that daily 20 because it's been a little slower recently. It also hit into what I like as a bit more of a demand. So, to me, maybe Platinum has found a better bottom than Palladium. But I don't know it's done that. But I certainly prefer this chart over silver and gold at this stage, even though these will probably be volatile. I see the value of gold right now, but it's way too risky for me to get in right now. I think it's difficult. I think it's very difficult. I know you see the value because you understand the storyline right now, but it's very difficult. The key to investing is to see the story and the value before everyone starts seeing it. So right now, a lot of people see it. When it becomes less cool, and remember, it was less cool just a few months ago, no one cared. And then we saw that breakout and we said, oh, I think this might go. Like, I think this might go. We obviously think it going to 4,000, 4,250. I wrote 4K, 4,200 every day of the week. But the thing is that it's always the way. You see it at the end, you go, how could I not have seen that? Don't kick yourself. Ask yourself, could I do this in the future and repeat? Now, I did an interview recently. One of the things that came up, and I thought it was really cool, was that people stick to their wheelhouse. If you work in the medical industry and you understand everything there is about the medical industry in those particular areas, you're probably going to have some edge in those stocks that other people on Wall Street won't. Remember, Wall Street people literally just buy stuff. They don't even know what the stock is. They don't care. They're just buying it based on somebody saying, maybe some economist claiming it's worth that much. You've got to remember this. So if you've got a bit of edge, you'd be surprised. I still have 25% unleveraged gold, 70% cash. Feels like I have the serve for the first time in a long time. Congratulations. Always like to see people doing well. What will you rate this trade on MC, Tom, from 1 to 10? Probably about an 8 for me. I like the base. You kind of flip-flop with oil? No, so I haven't flip-flop with oil. Oil services, I still like Zomba. Oil itself is nasty as crap. So unfortunately, the problem with oil, like as I say, because I cover it every day. So what I thought, I'll go through this. I'll answer your question because I understand what you mean. So first up, there was a possible scale in here. Okay, so you might put in a quarter position, stop below the low. You get obviously Trump there, yeah. Now over on this point here, we started to see a pretty nice potential here for a nice rally. Now, 66 plus breakout, we're going to have a good base. Close is the key. Again, you could have put in a third or a quarter at this point with the rest back for the rest of the close. You also could have had a trade here, which actually was very successful. So in my opinion, there are 3 different trade positions. There are 2 losses, which are scaled in. There is 1 position which is actually break even or even a 2 to 1. You'd be making good money on this one down here, and it would have held. The problem is that I like the stocks more. So OIH is what I like in terms of oil services, and if you'll know this because I have it on the show sometimes. And oil services has been frankly crap, but not that crap. So you can see here my trend line kind of action that I've been crapping on about in the videos. Let's go here to daily for a second. So there you go. And that's the kind of thing I had. And what I was doing, and I still do this, is I don't know why I think it goes through the highs over here. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one I had. There we go. Yeah, that's it. So around here, obviously, I'm getting bullish on oil services. And that's pretty much where I mentioned it. Now it's down, but it's not down much. And that's because I know with oil, it's geopolitical. So I'm very concerned about the barrel cost. I'm less concerned about the stocks. Make sense? Does that make sense? What I'm saying? AMD continuation. We'll have a look. Yeah, so I'm not that concerned about this stock. If this service is going to lose, it's probably going to lose positions here for me. I'm just chilling. I think it's all right, but it's not performing extremely well. Zomba says yes. Cool, man. That stat about 27th October, week being weak, is about to be tested with incoming vol. Yeah, I agree. Mode, this is true. That's the stat from, of course, Wayne, which we will focus on again in our next video because obviously we're getting up to this point. I sold gold last week with 67% profit. It may end up going higher, but I'm happy. Never look back, bro. Never look back. I learned that a long time ago. Dude, I had Bitcoins that I made with a bloody computer for they were like $8, $10 at the time, something like that. You don't even want to know what I sold them for, bro. Oh, the amount of times I've had to buy Bitcoin at higher prices. Oh, terrible. And I learned a lesson. And it was a horrible lesson. Okay. Firstly, I had no idea that this. I mean, obviously the pizza guy would be more pissed off, but the lesson here was pretty much that expect the unexpected and also ask yourself, can that asset class have unlimited potential? Because if it has unlimited potential, then you're in pretty good hands potentially to keep some. So one of the other guys that was doing it back then, I still remember because I played these video games with this guy, and he told me to get in the Bitcoin. He said, dude, make the Bitcoin on your computer while you're not playing. I said, all right, whatever. Back then you make a Bitcoin a day. I know it seems wild, but that's what actually happened. And we had these Bitcoin. He had thousands of them. And I messaged him about 2 years ago. Don't really talk to him anymore, but I messaged him 2 years ago. And I said to him, hey, go, man. He's like, dude, I'm retired. I said, oh, fuck you, man. I said, good work, dude. And then he goes, yeah, the Bitcoin. And I said, yeah, I know the Bitcoin. I said, well, what'd you do? And I knew this already because I talked to him throughout the years in 2015, 2017, 18. And he goes, yeah, well, I just descaled it. He goes, I sold at $100, I sold a little bit. At $1,000, I sold a little bit. At $10,000, I sold a little bit. At $50,000, I've sold a little bit. At $100,000, I've sold a little bit. But he has so much left because he descaled himself. And what that is it's the power of what Wall Street does all the time anyway, which is they recognize, potential. If you have a financial stock, it has an upside. If you have a weird innovation business, hey, that weird innovation business could be 100x. You might want to think about descaling that if it really is becoming the thing. If you're in a mag stock, they have a ton of potential. You know that because, of course, where they are now. So what I learned was when you're investing, think about the potential of that stock. Is it capped or not? A mining stock is more capped. And then innovation is just so unlimited. So you've got to think about it. Good lesson. Horrible reality. Horrible. Horrible. Tom bought pizzas with Bitcoin? Probably. I mean, in essence. You and me too, Tom? Oh, yeah. Terrible. Oh, terrible, terrible. Oil in gold terms has never been lower. I agree, Chris. That's why I'm sniffing it out, man. I agree. I'm not bearish on oil services. I'm not. But I don't want to own barrels. And I've traded barrels a few times. I've said all year, have I not, guys? This geopolitical tension stuff is horrendous for gold. For oil. It's always horrendous. Oil is such a political tool. What's your thoughts on Ethereum? I've always enjoyed Ethereum. It's pretty much one of the only other coins I really even pay attention to. That and Solana, and ADA a little bit as well. But the problem with Ethereum is that I still think Bitcoin needs to lead. So Ethereum is still like the second cousin. I know everyone goes on about it now as being the best thing ever because Wall Street's embraced it. Look, I don't think about the mechanics. I just say, what am I doing? I love gold. I love silver. I have to love Bitcoin the most. The US is devaluing oil to harm Russia and China's economy. It's always geopolitical. Yeah, that's right, Cyber Gangster. It's always a tough trade, man. It's always a tough trade. Just joined, Tom. Did you discuss the Fed conference on digital assets on Tuesday? I must be real here. I don't even know what the hell is going on in terms of this news coming out. So fill me in here, guys. What are we actually getting? Are we getting this inflation report this week? I mean, I'll look and do it for the Monday show, but the Fed is doing the thing? The Fed's doing the dance? I guess it is. So we're going to do the Fed. The conference on digital assets, I don't know how that's going to go, but what I do know is that we have many different weird announcements coming at the end of this month. We've got exchange traded funds, we've got the Fed, we've got all this stuff. So to me, it's all catalysts. So even if the market goes bad initially, I think there's plenty of catalysts to push Bitcoin forward. They are discussing new payment system. Yeah, but even if that pushes up crypto, realistically, they're not going to use, well, at least in my opinion, they're not going to use all the main coins. come on, guys. We all know what they're doing, don't we? They're just going to make US Ponzi coin and Australian Ponzi coin. And then they're going to turn it all into, because it's beautiful for taxation, guys. Think about it. I said this like 10 years ago. They're just going to make US crypto. And then they're going to be like, yes, now we can track all your transactions, baby. But don't worry. Now you can see everything. It's very transparent. That's my opinion. TFC says, you have said it all year, Tom. I know this because I bought the barrels anyway and got smoked. Yeah, well, I'm sorry to hear that, man. The stupid barrel, man. It's these barrels are nasty. AMD's upside. All right. Let's do the AMD. I know we didn't go through too many stocks. The main reason is we've got the catalysts. Obviously, we do the daily show for anyone that's here live streaming. We'll cover all the stocks into earnings. I got some little specials coming up in the next week or two as well, which I think you'll enjoy. A new tool that I thought was pretty cool, frankly. I thought it was kind of it made a lot of sense. I like things that make sense straight away. You know what it is? Like if I explain to you that one of the most important things of deciding on the best market in the world is innovation. If I said to you, what is the best country right now in the world for innovation companies right now? Which one is it, guys? Tell me. Tell me, which country in the world has the most best innovative companies or innovative people or innovative ideas or innovative whatever? AMD, by the way, is a dull market after this rally. You wouldn't want to negative it. You wouldn't want to go against it. What do I think it's worth? No idea. This stock has already done what I would call as a nice rally. If you're on it, smiley face. We were on it over here with good technicals, but you could have also been on it around this point. You would have been getting lucky, though, that it's going up. So I think it's dull, and therefore I would not short it. Would I add new positions? Personally, no. I think there's better opportunities out there. Cyber Gangster says the Cayman Islands. Andra says Japan, Zimbabwe from Rob, Russia, Madagascar, China. The thing with China is when you actually look at a chart and it has like new IPOs and new businesses, it went up and then it just got crushed since 2019. It is down in the dirt, seriously. Surprisingly low. Jarek says $10 here. It's obviously US, guys. Jarek says $10. What about Intel? Yes, Intel. Let's have a look at INTC. INTC, nice rally off the whole government dance. You guys know I was sitting down here waiting for this baby to go to $30. Yes, it did it. Did it take too long? Yes. Was it painful? Absolutely. It was so painful. It was like watch every day paint drying, guys. How long, Kevin, were you sitting in Intel? I know you're there. How long were you sitting in this hell? This is stupid stock. Anyway, it's sitting around this supply. It's consolidating. Obviously, if it gets a good announcement, the next trigger is $44, man. I've got it here. I've had it there for a long time. It was here, to here, to here. These are the three. What do I feel about it right now? If I had to guess, it looks more bullish than bearish because it's consolidating with a nice low, and it's you can see here like a close above 38 would be quite significant. Tasmania is the most innovative pace in the world. You guys aren't serious, seriously. Trolling my answer. I don't think you were the only one, RVT. No one was serious here. Everyone's just like Greenland, Netherlands. I mean, I'm half Dutch, but nope. I don't think it is. Japan, Cayman Islands. Yeah, there was some Tasmania, please. The only thing Tasmania is good for, guys, is you go there, you get off the plane. It's like 20 degrees Celsius, and you just get burnt. Okay, I'm dead serious. You just go outside and then it just starts frying your skin, just like an egg, but your skin is the egg and it's getting fried. Okay, that's Tasmania for you. Beautiful place, but there's something wrong with the ozone layer there. The Tasmanian devil. There's Tasmanian devil. The Tasmanian tiger is it's actually the thing you don't need to be worried about those things, guys. You need to be worried about the sun. 20 degrees. It's not about, I'm telling you guys, anyone from Tasmania, you get off the plane, it's like 20 degrees. It's never hotter than 20. It's 20 degrees or 5 degrees. It's cold. And then you get burnt by the sun. Now, I'm telling you, you get burnt by the sun. They do have rich gold prospecting. A lot of people watch these shows now. I must admit, I've dabbled in a little bit of watching of the Tasmanian gold prospectors, the New Zealand ones, the random ones, and I think the Klondike or something like that in the US. It's true. Yeah. Would you buy SoFi? Yes, he is correct. See? Now, Western Australia, you don't get off the plane and get burnt. It's quite nice. One of the best temperatures in Australia. Tom is the Australian devil smoking stocks in the sun. Gold Rush loved the first season. Yeah, I think I watched that first one years ago. I used to watch the Discovery Channel every holiday. I didn't buy none of that cable stuff. We got to invest that money in the stocks. But and I'm on holiday, I watch the Discovery Channel. Crabs in Alaska. Deadliest Catch. I've watched that. Trash now, but it used to be great. Good times, guys. Discovery Channel. Now it sucks. Every week is just Shark Week, and then they've got CGI. I'm gonna ruin something for you guys before we finish today's show. Every time you watch any of those planet shows, every one of those fish shots is fake. They're all fake. Okay, guys? And once you see it, you can't unsee it. I've ruined all of them for you. You cannot watch them anymore. You watch the fish shows, the fake tuna, the fake mackerel, the fake millions of sharks. You watch. Ruined. All fake. CGI. The dinosaurs are real, but the fish are fake. Fake birds recharging on power lines. Oh, my wife told me that, and I was like, "No, they're not. They're real." And I was like, "Wait a second, I fish, and I know that's not real." And then I saw it, and I was like, "Oh, it's terrible. It's so fake." That's old news. No, I'm telling you, a lot of people watch those shows. They think it's real, man. They think it's real. Tom runs around shop. I'm not going to say that because somebody might watch me on TV. All cable TV shows are fake. Drop bears are real. Drop bears are real. Is biotech getting exhausted? Good question. Let's have a quick look here at biotech, IBB. It's pretty sweet. If you've been in this, congrats. It's actually been quite a good run. So this has been what's actually pulling IWM up. You can see here it took the high. I gotta say it's pretty impressive. And look, is it exhausted? It's back to levels that you're starting to say, okay, it's hitting these key zones where it might chill. But obviously the ultimate prize is 175. I've got to say it made sense that this was going to benefit from AI, and it certainly is because it really is going on there. It just ruined the WBD and PSKY deal. Yeah. Tom, talk about the VIX holding above the 200-day moving average. Is a stat for that, is there? I don't know if I mentioned a stat about that. Is there a stat for this above 200? I don't know it, but look, it's not above 25, so I'm not really worrying too much. Tom, do you think a 4-year cycle on crypto is dead? Yeah, likely. I don't think you're going to. It won't ever be the same. It's too known. I mean, you guys all knew. I said how long you all knew it was like 1060, man. You guys all knew. Like when you all know something, it's not good. It's never going to work. It's kind of like when Buffett knew about his Buffett indicator and it all worked well, and then everyone found out about it and stopped working. Like a gold copper ratio. I love copper gold ratio. Used to be awesome. It's dead as the doornail of doornails right now, guys. Lumber gold, dead, gone. See ya. Buy in the markets. Unfortunately, it's adapt or die. You have to recognize when certain glorious concepts break. I think that Druckenmiller realized that. Like, I bet you if you really asked him, he will tell you, and I think he's said it before, he's lost a lot of the edge because his edge was understanding the currency markets and the bonds markets and their relevance to stocks. Generally, we have around, I believe, basically around 10 to 25 years in the markets where we're going to have extreme edge if you put enough work in. I would say I'm probably already going through that process. So, you know, I'm not delusional. At some point, I'm not going to be ahead. I don't know when, but it's going to happen. And it's up to me, it's up to all of you guys to know that if you don't have the next thing that's getting you ahead, that you're behind. And then you're stuffed. Wall Street have beeped up Bitcoin. Yeah. When Wall Street, I don't know why anybody thinks that when Wall Street came into Bitcoin as a glorious. It's kind of good for us if you are following a stock channel like us, because we understand what Wall Street do. So now it's mass psychology destroying, they're going to destroy the crypto cycle times. Oh, they're going to eat everybody's breakfast. It's going to be quite good on the charts and using macro for it. They're destroying alts. Yeah, for sure. They're taking the money from alts kind of got destroyed though because of just too many of them. It's kind of like whether I think how many treasury companies are there now? Finish up here. Crypto treasuries. How many are there? I'll look at this thing about the VIX for tomorrow for the close show, guys. How many treasury businesses are there now? What, like 200 maybe? Buy NVIDIA and hold, never sell. You're welcome. Matthew M. Stevick. Trad investing loves to take 10 to 15% gains. Days of Bitcoin 10 times 10xing are long gone. Congrats. You got the institutional investment you wanted. Yeah, that's right. The concept of Bitcoin doing the same type of percentage gains that it used to is pretty much over. You're not going to get the gains anymore out of it. It's the law of diminishing returns. 150. Okay. My opinion on NVIDIA is it still looks bullish on the charts, Oz. I find it very difficult to look at a chart of NVIDIA and say, oh, that looks like crap. It really doesn't. I mean, the weekly, yeah, it's got that rejection. The monthly is still quite strong. It's put in mostly bullish candles. I think it's possible it can go to like 160s. And I'd like to see it buy around 170, 168. Ryan Cohen, CEO of GME, interviewed today at 3 p.m. Eastern on Big Tech Bro podcast. People aren't paying attention to this smaller retailer about to post a net profit of 500 million this year. What? So you're telling me that GameStop is back? Is that what you're saying, Johnny D? I'm looking at it, man. By the way, does anyone know what the story was? What happened to Roaring Kitty? I need to know. What happened? Did he go crazy on options? Did he lose lots? Is he just a bazillionaire? Did he make $1 billion? I have no idea. The balance sheet is impeccable. Let's have a look down here. 10.3 billion. How many Bitcoins do they have? How many Bitcoins does GameStop have? I want to see about $8 billion of Bitcoin. Do they have that much? Now that makes a good deal. He's going to try to pump some GME. Yeah, I know. I'm just coming over to have a look because we haven't seen it. Plus, I want to ask the question of what happened to the roaring kitty. He goes live on YouTube. He's got a huge position in GME at the moment. Okay. Roaring Kitty is the CEO of Robinhood. Have you looked into any news, maybe like a PLTR 2.0 from Mitch Josh, LAES? I have not. Let's have a look. LAES. Let's check it up. 1 billion. Whoa. Pumpy dumpy. I mean, it could be, dude. These types of stocks to get that kind of, unicorn PLTR, it's kind of tough. I have a rule. It's if it's not 5 billion, I'm not really interested. And it's only just to keep me away from looking at stuff like this where you need to put a lot of time in. If you put the time in, maybe you can find it. But my guess is you need to go through probably a strike rate of maybe 30%, 20% getting good ones. Roaring Kitty is rich now and on an island. Sweet. Is it quantum stock? I'm not sure, dude. Looks like probably is. There's semiconductors here. Home builders, not looking good to me, dude. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. At the start of the show, we covered gold, silver, our thoughts. Bitcoin, we went a bit of deep dive in there. Obviously, China's still bullish. Stock market's neutral. We will report on it each day this week. I know we yibba-yabbered about a whole bunch of things here at the end, but there were some good lessons to be learnt, including scaling and why it's important. We then covered off, of course, everything with the mag stocks. Had a look at those. Most of them were bullish or neutral. A couple of bad ones. Amazon's still very questionable where it's at right now. Tesla is one of the more interesting stocks of the week at 420, 430, kind of like put walls, and then at the 450 plus, kind of like where it could break up through. And then, of course, we've got the rest of the stocks and crypto, but mostly we're watching Bitcoin. The Fed supposedly talking about crypto tomorrow. We'll report on that. And then we've got maybe inflation numbers. I don't know if we're getting them. I'll check that out as well. As always, guys, thank you so much for following. Thank you so much for liking the video, subscribing, sharing them. The support has been amazing recently, so I really appreciate that. I don't know if you've been sharing it because you've been on some kind of like hallucination of silver profits or something, but I do appreciate it, guys. And yeah, while silver and gold are the most dangerous they've been in a couple of years, I'm still bullish on them. I just want to see some vol. I need some vol, guys. We need cheaper price. Michael Moss says, don't forget to hit the like. Yes. And for the Brisbane conference, I think we're pretty much filled up. So yeah, you might want to get that in if you are around Brisbane right now, because that was an amazing, overwhelming response. I've got to say, I might have to start capping these things real hard because that was pretty wild. So I'm looking forward to seeing you in Brisbane on the 12th of November if you're in the area. And yeah, I will have to cap the back end at this point. So very good. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next Monday here live. We'll see the rest of you in the private stream Tuesday for the open. Sign up, links in the description down below. And newsletter returns this week as well. So I'll post that one out probably Thursday, probably after the Tesla earnings, Wednesday, something like that. Thank you very much. Jim Cramer just said the only losers are the people not in the market. That has to be like the worst sign of a market top. That's pretty scary. We'll leave you with that comment. Good night, everyone. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. And I miss New York pizza. Oh, it's so delicious. Bye for now.